It's Monday morning, and it's the first day of our virtual Spirit Week, which is Jammy Day. So I've got my jammies on, and I'm ready to find out what happens to Roz. Remember, she was down in the sewers, so we've got to see what's going to go on with her. Chapter 78, The Chase. The street was empty. No people walking, no robots working, no automobiles driving. Roz looked to the sky, hoping to see Bright Bill or Strutter. But what she saw was a fleet of white triangular airships. They were floating over the city, searching for the runaway robot, and they had just spotted her. Rosum Unit 7134, do not move. 3 robots zipped down from the ship on cables. They were Rico's 10, 11, and 12. They each held a rifle at his side, but they didn't fire their weapons. Not yet. Their orders were to retrieve the target unharmed if possible. Our robot's survival instincts blared like sirens in her head, and she burst away from the Ricos. She sprinted down the empty street and turned onto another street. All the streets seemed to be empty, but they wouldn't be empty for long. More and more big, bulky robots came zipping down to join the chase. The Ricos moved like machines. Their target moved like an animal. The wild robot stayed low, gliding across the streets, darting around buildings, vanishing into the shadows. Her computer brain thought back to those games of hide-and-seek she played on the farm, but this was no game. Roz never should have gone into that alley. She was halfway through it when the Ricos appeared at both ends. There was only one direction to go. Using all her strength in her legs, our robot launched herself high in the air, and she clamped onto the side of a building. Frightened faces peered out of a window, but Roz didn't want to frighten anyone. She just wanted to go home. The robot launched herself up and across the alley and clamped onto the opposite building. Back and forth she went, leaping between buildings, climbing higher and higher until she landed on a flat, lofty rooftop. The sky was filled with airships. All at once, the airships turned toward Roz. Their engines buzzed as they closed in on our robot. But then came a strange swishing noise. Pigeons! Hundreds of them! Thousands of them! Wave upon wave of pigeons streamed up from the streets and swarmed around the airships. Strutter had rallied her friends from every corner of the city. They had always hated airships, buzzing loudly, crowding the skies, forcing the birds to fly low. And now a city's worth of pigeons were finally unleashing their anger. As you'd expect, the airships fought back. Blazing beams of light flickered across the skyline and left charred feathers floating on the breeze. But the pigeons didn't retreat. They tightened around the ships, distracting them, confusing them. There was a deafening screech, little bodies fell, and a ship spiraled out of sight, leaving a trail of smoke behind it. Roz watched in horror as more and more pigeons and ships went down. She hollered for the birds to fly away, but they were lost in a fighting frenzy. Heavy feet thumped on the roof. Rosum, Unit 7134, do not move. Roz didn't look. She just ran from the voice, leaped onto the next rooftop, and kept on running. Our robot leaped onto a higher rooftop, then down to a lower one. Up and down she went, leaping from building to building, footsteps thundering behind her. But still, the Ricos did not fire their rifles. "Mama, I'm here!" Bright Bill swooped alongside his mother as she ran. "What should we do?" "Bright Bill, you must fly to safety," hollered Roz. "It is too dangerous up here." And then, in a softer voice, the robot said, "I cannot escape." "No, Mama, you've come so far. Don't give up now." And there's a picture of her running away with the Ricos chasing her. But Roz was finished running. She slowed and stopped at the edge of the rooftop. The goose fluttered into her arms, and our friends held each other close. "You have been such a good son," said Roz. You have saved my life so many times, but now you must save yourself and go on without me." "Will I see you again?" said Brightbill, wiping his eyes. "I do not think so," said Roz. They still had so much to say to each other. There simply wasn't any more time. So they said the only words that really mattered. "I love you, Mama." "I love you, son." Airships circled above. Ricos dropped onto rooftops. Rifles pointed at our robot. A voice boomed, "Rosm, Unit 7134, do not move." But Roz did move. She heaved her son toward the sky so that he could fly to safety, and in that instant a trigger was pulled. A blazing beam of light flashed onto our robot's leg. Damage sensors flared as the leg turned bright orange and melted away. Poor Roz tried to keep her balance, but she was already toppling backward off the roof. She seemed to hang in the air, sparkling in the sunlight, and then she fell, down, down, down to the street below. As Roz was falling, she took one last look at Brightbill soaring in the sky above. She watched him get smaller and smaller. Then everything went dark. This is what the next 2 pages look like.